Welcome to Forest County, Pennsylvania and the Forest County Outback Channel, where we combine history with the outdoors. Today, we're going to do another video using historical photographs and comparing them to the scene today. First, let me apologize for the amount of time it's taken to get this video out. Ideally, I'd like to do them about every 3 weeks. Usually it ends up being 4. This time it's, I don't know, 6 or 7 since I've got a video out. I had a flare-up of Lyme disease, and it hit me pretty hard, and I had 2 live talks scheduled, and I got through those. It was a struggle, I can tell you that. And I'm just now getting to the point where I've got some energy and some ambition to get out here and make a video. So, as I said, we're going to do, we did one of these videos before, historic photographs, then and now, comparing the historic photo to the scene today, and I give some background on it. So this is Forest County Outback number 58. More historic photographs then and now. Now, we're on the Mayburg Bridge, and I'm not going to do a photo of this. I did that in the first video. There was a whole town over here. And as you can see in this photo, going up, they were strung up all along the creek and up over the hill. And that large dark building on the very left of the photo, about half of it's cut off, that was the boarding house. And I have a close-up of that. Now this scene was taken along Route 666 along Tynester Creek, and those buildings you see in the distance in this photo, that is the village of Porky. This would have been taken in 1920s, 1930s, something like that. And here we have it today. And yeah, my truck's kind of blocking where Porky would be. Well, you couldn't see it for the trees anyhow. We're at Buck's Mills, and I've done a video on this before, on the sawmill that was here. In the 1930s, this was the site of a CCC camp. And this is the entranceway into that camp. And as you can see, it's grown up a little bit. This was ANF2. It was also known as Sheffield or Lone Pine. And I don't remember how long this camp was active, but I do know the fellows that came here, some of them were from Florida, so Pennsylvania winters must have been a real treat for them. And here's another shot of this CCC camp, different angle. And it was taken somewhere up in this area here. You can see nature has a way of reclaiming its own. We're in the Kelletville campground now, and this road we're on, the road that runs through the campground, used to be called Church Street. And that is because the Methodist Church sat down at the end of this road, down in that grove of trees past the pavilion. And during its heyday, this street was lined with houses on both sides. After the mill shut down, some of these houses were torn down, but people still resided down in this area. There were a lot of gardens and that in here. There was tennis courts. And then eventually in 1939-40, the Corps of Engineers seized all this property through eminent domain for the Ty-Nesta flood control dam. And the town was evacuated. Hey, if you like our channel, like our content, you can support us by subscribing, giving us a like, a share, and a comment. Remember, comments have to be 7 words long. Don't ask me why, but that's what it is. And you can also support us in other ways by visiting our merch shelf down below. And speaking of historic photographs, we also, in our online store, which is a clickable link in the video description, it's separate than the merch shelf. It's a clickable link in the video description. We have the Kelletville, oops, that's here, getting away from me. The Kelletville panoramic photograph. And we have 2 sizes. One's about 40 inches and the other's, I think, 18. Laminated or paper copy. You can get those there. And for those who want to make a direct financial contribution, we also have a PayPal link in our video description. And this is a strictly voluntary thing. Only contribute if you feel comfortable doing so at whatever amount you do. I want to remind you that we don't hide anything behind a paywall here. So this, like I said, this is a strictly voluntary thing. If you want to contribute, I want to thank the people who have contributed, not only financially, but also through your kind messages, and people who have stopped me in public and said, hey, you know, I love your videos, like what you're doing. All that is important. And thanks for supporting the channel. Now you can also follow us on our Facebook page, Forest County Outback. It's on Facebook. And you can email me directly at terry@forestcountyoutback.com. All right, thanks for watching. I hope you continue to do so. This is a view of the north end of the Kelletville Bridge, taken around late 1890s, early 1900s. And as you can see, they have a bit of a flood going on here. And this is the scene today. As you can see, it's been altered quite a bit here. Now, when I first came to this area in the mid-1970s, one of the things I used to hear was repeated almost like a chant, was that the town of Kelletville, the town site here that was taken over for the flood control dam, it had never, ever flooded until the Corps of Engineers built the dam in 1940. Looking at this photo, and a couple other ones here, I beg to differ with that statement. I don't know who started that or how it gained traction, but I mean, come on, look at the historical record here. Now this, not exactly sure where these photos were taken, but they were attributed to the Kelletville area. In particular, the one with the ladies and the ice on the tracks that was supposed to be taken, supposedly taken right over in that area somewhere. But I can't be sure, but yeah, Kelletville never flooded. So here we are at the north end of the bridge, and right over by that sign, that was Main Street, which went up that way, and that was really the main business district. They were dentist's office, doctor's office, a couple stores, livery stable over there. But this is a scene looking up the creek, again where it's not flooding, or hasn't flooded. And that steeple in the distance you see is St. Anne's Catholic Church. So this is the upper end of Main Street. And like I said, the landscape's been altered here quite a bit. And the Kingsley house would have sat over in that area somewhere. Okay, so we're going to take a walk on out here. And remember, this was lined on both sides with buildings. Even on the creek side, that bank has eroded quite a lot, and we'll see an example of that in a few minutes. Okay, this is looking back up Main Street today, and we have some photos from, like I said, most of these photos were taken around 1900, in the early 1900s. We have the 4th of July parade. A couple other photos. This one here, if you look, as I said, this bank had eroded over here. If you look to the right, or the left, I mean, there's a white building. It's kind of hanging over the stream. That was a dentist's office, and you notice there's a diagonal line coming down here. That's actually a steel cable. They had cabled that building up so it wouldn't fall into the creek. So, another photo here. We're at the site of the former town of Nebraska, and I have some photos here that were taken in 1939-40, just before the town was evacuated and the buildings demolished. So we're going to walk through here and look at those. Nebraska reached its peak around 1900. Teddy Collins had made this the headquarters of his business empire. And he had a large sawmill here, 2 boat and barge yards, and the S&T ran through here, and he had railroad shops and that here. So up there, where Titus Creek makes a bend to the left, there was a large dam there, and they floated logs down to that dam into a mill race and on down to the sawmill. And his sawmill was over that way. It's quite a large mill, as you can see from the photograph, and there's one of his coal barges there beside it. And you see the guy standing, and you can get an idea of the scale of those barges. Now, this photo is the end of Nebraska Bridge, and it's going up looking up the hill towards Kaiser's Corners. And like I said, this was taken in 3940, shortly before the town was demolished. And that building on the right, the first building, is the company store, and just beyond that is the Thompson Hotel, and then the far building is one of the houses here in the village. And this is what it looks like today. And this is another view of the company store. And this is approximately that view today. It's hard to tell. Things were moved around here a little bit, and the road was changed, and there's so much overgrown stuff here. It's hard to tell exactly where this photo was taken, but from around here. So we've got this rather interesting photograph of a house and being caught in an ice jam here in Nebraska. And it was taken over in that area there. As you are headed up the hill towards Newmansville, you come to this large rock, and beside it over there was a spring where people used to get drinking water. Right across the road from that rock was the schoolhouse. So from this angle we would be looking at the front of the school, but for some reason we do not have a photo of the front of the school, but we have photos from some different angles. So we have this photo from the upper side. And then we have this photo from the lower side. This is the town of Galenza. This was a sawmill town. I've done a full video on this. I forget what number it is, but check it out. It's well worth it. Going back and reviewing it, as are all my videos. They're all worth checking out. No false modesty here. Okay, so this town was abandoned in 1907 when the old growth timber ran out. And this photo was taken around, it was late 1890s, 1900, around in there, when, you know, things were at their peak. And today, well, this is now State Game Lands 24. During the 1800s, early 1900s, counties were responsible for caring for indigent residences. And in 1900, the county bought 400 acres of ground here down near the river, where the part of where the high school now stands, and constructed the county home. And they built this large brick building here as a residence. And they also established a farm here. And residents, if required, were required to work on the farm, so these became somewhat self-supporting. They were also widely known as by the term the poor farm. So that building, it was torn down in 1970. It was before I came here. It was up in that area somewhere. And to give you a reference, here's the high school. Now there were several buildings here, several outbuildings and 2 barns. One barn's still standing, but it's on private property. We can't film it, that's a shame. But this barn here, I remember it, the Forest Service had it, and I believe it sat, if it serves me right up in here. And they tore it down about 1980. And it was a shame because the barn was actually still solid, but they were worried with the high school that over here that the place would be vandalized. Now all this area down here was part of the county home, kind of part of the farm. And like I said, down here by the river, there was a cemetery for the residences. I doubt there's any headstones, maybe just small markers, very small markers. All right, we're going to wrap up number 58. More historic photographs then and now. And like I said, I apologize for the length of time it took to get this out. You know, I have not been feeling well. Lyme disease is not fun, but I'm recovering pretty rapidly now, and hopefully we're going to get back on track here. August 12th, I am going to be doing a talk at the Forest County Historical Society in Tionesta at 7 o'clock. It's called The First Forest Countians. It focuses on Native Americans in this area before European contact, if you can make it. Hope to see you there. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.